Hello everyone, Justin here, and today we are going to try drawing a pine tree, in this case a spruce tree. So let's just start by drawing the main trunk. And it gets wider, of course, towards the bottom. And it's going to have these branches that slowly get wider, longer, as we get to the bottom. And they tend to kind of flatten out a bit and kind of have this upward curve. So remember that some branches are actually going towards the front and the back, not just off to the side. So let's just add a few more here. So like this short line is going to the front, and this line is directly going to the front. So I'm just going to add some extra lines here, and of course the ones that go to the side. And usually the branches at the bottom tend to start going downwards from the weight of the leaves. So when we draw these leaves, then the leaves tend to show up as big masses or clumps. So what we're going to do is we're going to just start here and use these squiggly lines to kind of mark clumps of leaves or foliage by these branches that we drew. And remember, there's some foliage that's going to be kind of in the front, so mark those. And what will happen is that the main trunk will show up in between the foliage, so it won't be completely hidden. So what I'm doing is I'm just drawing kind of like cloud-like things, really. Some are going to be going all the way across, like here I'm going to draw this one kind of going fairly far over to the left and going across, and then some will be somewhat shorter, like that one. And I'll just keep drawing these clumps of foliage here and just make it random, as random as you can make it. Of course, it's not going to be symmetric the way you would normally see, say, a child draw a Christmas tree or just a stylized cartoon Christmas tree. Trees just don't grow symmetric like that, or at least perfectly symmetric. So maybe some more right here, and a clump here, maybe this one going across, and then behind it got another one here. And I'm just drawing some extra branches, and then as we get closer they get shorter. As we get closer to the bottom, the branches get a little bit closer, and then you'll often have these branches that are broken because they're really old. So I'll kind of indicate that a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm just gonna add a little bit of shading, kind of to show what's in the back. And actually let me go ahead and kind of mark certain areas here pretty dark where you will be able to see the trunk. Maybe here and down here, and then it comes out right here. So let's make this a little bit darker and maybe shade the one side. Okay, let's go back to our shading. So maybe shade the bottom of this clump here and here, and let's add another clump back here that's towards the back, so we're going to shade that whole thing because it's going to be falling in the back. It's going to be more in shadow. And more shading. Maybe make this part here darker to show that it's behind. And most of these clumps then will have some shading below that clump, just to show that the light's catching the upper part of that canopy. Okay, just some rough shading here, and keep doing this. Maybe this part right here will be in the back, so I'll just shade that in, and this whole section here like that. And this will be towards the front. And of course this is toward the front because we can't see the trunk the way we shaded that already. So I'll make that a little bit darker. Okay. Again, shade there. And then I'm going to add another one down back here. So this is a little bit darker, so it's a clump that's in the back, and add a little bit more in the back here, so it's going to be dark, and maybe right here this is going to be dark. So I'm just making this up, but you get the idea. You want it to be sort of random looking. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use scribbly lines to put in some midtones and maybe darken the tips a little bit. Go towards the tips with a scribbly line. Just so we kind of blend in to the shading that we did earlier. And what I'm actually going to do too is that shading that we had done earlier, I'm actually going to make those darker with another pencil which has softer lead. And I probably should have used that off the bat. So let me find that. Here we are. So I'm gonna shade the lower parts a little bit darker again, just like what I was doing earlier, but this time using the softer lead. And you can see how there's more of a contrast now, where the leaves and structure is fading more towards the back, taking on the darker shade. And then we'll have a little bit more definition as we go towards the foliage that I was drawing in with scribble lines. Like here, this is the back part. I'm going to darken that a bit. And here. And what I'm going to do here too is where it's darker, I'm using scribble lines there as well. And right here. And I'm going to make these a little bit more defined as far as the silhouette of these branches that are coming down and the clumps that are coming down here. Okay, this was just a quick sketch of one way to go about drawing a pine tree, but I think it helps to draw the underlying structure first in pencil with the branches, so then you kind of have an idea of where to maybe put the leaves and the smaller branches. just so it doesn't look like it's just floating there. I'll just add a little bit of shading down here to show that there's ground, and we're done. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.